All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining our virtual program today. My name is Kim Guile, and I'm the president of KC Downtowners, and I'm also the community reference manager at the Kansas City Public Library. And if you are joining us for the first time, we welcome you. The KC Downtowners is an informal association of Kansas Cityans who live, work, and/or play in downtown Kansas City, and we are dedicated to the downtown development and to promoting a positive community spirit. And special thank you to my partner here, Aaron Barnum, my board mate, who is going to help me facilitate this meeting on the back end. So thank you for having your support, Aaron. And if you have any questions for any of our presenters, please post them in the chat. We'll do our best to get to all of them. And before we get to today's sponsor, the KC Downtowners board would like to highlight the Art in the Loop Foundation. They are a nonprofit that will hope you consider making a donation to in lieu of the normal ticket price of our luncheon. And here to tell us a little bit more about it is Ann Holliday, Anna Mendelbaum. Ladies.
Thanks, Kim. As Kim said, my name is Ann Holliday. I'm Vice President of Strategic Initiatives for the Downtown Council and Director of the Art in the Loop Foundation. So I'm thrilled to have this opportunity to say a few words about what our private 501c3 organization does. We were founded in 2004 and are committed to engaging artists in the downtown Kansas City community. So we seek to contribute to the visual identity of downtown while creating new opportunities for local artists to grow their practice and expand their audiences. Our goals include increasing interaction with the arts, enlivening public spaces downtown with the arts, providing opportunities for people to engage with each other and art in public spaces while supporting local artists and arts businesses. I think, as I mentioned, we're interested in the arts, but we're also wanting to offer downtown residents, workers, and visitors the opportunity to interact with new art of excellence presented in the public realm. We have a small board of directors, and then project management and oversight is provided by the staff of the Downtown Council. So like all other arts organizations across the country and the world, frankly, in 2020 was a very challenging year for us. Just as an example, we saw budget cuts due to city and state funding decreases and had to forego our music and performance series that usually takes place on board KC Streetcar due to COVID restrictions. So I hope you'll consider making a donation to Art in the Loop, which you can do on our website, which Kim has brought up. There's that button, make a donation, artintheloop.com/support. And I'd really like to thank those of you who already have. I see a few of you on the call, so thank you very much. We really couldn't do it without you. We are a community-based arts organization that helps support local artists. We're looking forward to presenting an exhibition of local artwork along the streetcar line this summer and bringing back our outdoor performance series. With that, I'd like to introduce our key partner, Donna Mandelbaum, Communications Director with KC Streetcar.
Thanks, Anne, and thanks for having us, KC Downtowners. The Kansas City Streetcar has been a part of Art in a Loop since the very beginning of our streetcar's existence. So in 2016, not only did we start the streetcar line, but we did it with art, and it's been one of the most fantastic parts of my job for sure. Each year we bring art to our public space, which is either at our streetcar stops or on the streetcar, and we love it, and we'll continue to do that this year. We're really hoping we can bring performing arts and music back to downtown this year. It may not be on the streetcar, but maybe it'll be close to it at our stops. So if we keep doing what we need to do, hopefully we will get there. So if you are never heard of Art in the Loop, please check out the website and see some of the amazing things that this program has done. And it really is helps our local artists and is that doorway to elevating them in how to bring their art to public spaces. It's way different than, if they were to exhibit in a museum. So it's a great program, and I'm so grateful that the Kansas City Streetcar is a part of it.
Well, thank you, ladies. That was a fabulous presentation. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today, and please consider making that donation. And I would like to pivot now to our lunch sponsor, which is Kissick Construction. Pete Brown, as I'm sure all of you know, is the president at Kizik Construction, and he's on the call and he's going to tell us a little bit more about the company. And full disclosure, Pete is a Kansas City Public Library board member, so we love him extra. Go ahead, Pete.
Thank you, Kim. Our firm's proud of our long association with the Downtowners, and we appreciate the energy and enthusiasm that this organization brings to our vibrant urban core. Personally, I live in marvelous Midtown, and our family considers downtown to be our front yard. That's where we go to meet people. That's where we engage in our community, and that's where we play. So thank you, Downtowners, for all you do. Our firm, Kizik Construction Company, is a full-service heavy civil and industrial contractor. You see us improving our infrastructure with water and sewer line upgrades. You see us with road and bridge work around the area. We also serve the commercial markets with earthwork and concrete foundation work for buildings and developments. And lastly, you find us working in the industrial and heavy manufacturing environments. Although we proudly call Kansas City home, we do work across the Midwest, primarily Missouri, Kansas, Iowa, Nebraska, and Oklahoma. Some of our recent projects in the downtown area include, we have been busy as a partner on a variety of projects, including the Ambassador Hotel expansion, Arterra, Children's Mercy expansion, McCown Gordon's headquarters at 8th and Main, Beacon Hill, Truman Medical Center, Neutrality at 11th and Grand, Reverb at 18th and Gillum, or 18th and Walnut, Artistry at 19th and Oak, CenturyLink at 19th and Charlotte, the Gallery at 27th and Gillum. And a couple years ago, we installed a variety of artwork pieces for open spaces. On the slide you see in front of you are 3 recent downtown projects that I'd like to highlight. First of all, the streetcar. Very proud to play an integral role in the utility relocations of the initial streetcar line in 2014 from River Market to Union Station. And now we're on the team for the Main Street extension from Union Station on south to 51st and Oak, or 51st and Brookside. I think orange barrels are what you should see. Traffic control, traffic congestion, all my friends cussing my name along Main Street, but this is good for our community. Secondly, another fun recent project, the recent phase 1 renovation of the Folly Theater's lobbies and patrons lounge. We did the concrete work for some tricky work inside that building. And then lastly, down in the West Bottoms there in CID, a recent project that we constructed, and it was designed by another Downtowners champion, HNTB. And hot off the presses, that project recently won a national award. So congrats to HNTB on that. And then one more slide there, Kim. And of course, if you need something built, give us a call. Lots of things and everything we've just talked about. You know, we are fortunate to be a contractor of choice in Kansas City. And so it's our genuine joy to serve our community in return. You see on the slide, primarily downtown organizations that we're proud to be an advocate for and volunteer for. I want to thank Kim and the Downtown Library especially for hosting this organization all these years. And I look forward to being back on the top floor of rooftop event space for this lunch, hopefully sometime later this year. Thank you so much for having us. We're very proud to sponsor, and always love the fact that I can share the screen a little bit with Dana Knapp and the ArtsKC team. They do such a wonderful job moving our community forward through the arts. So thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Pete. That was fantastic. And I totally agree. I cannot wait to be back having all of our community inside the Kansas City Public Library. We are the public library. This is your building. So we're very excited to have you back. So our speaker today is Dana Knapp. She is the president and CEO of ArtsKC. And it is very exciting that she is here to speak with us during Women's History Month, as she is someone who is helping to create history here in Kansas City, where the arts are such a pillar to our region. And you're welcome again to add questions to chat. and we'll get to them as time allows. And Dana, you are ready to go. Take it away.
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you, Downtowners, Kim, Ann, Aaron, Pete, and Stan for inviting me to share today. I'm very grateful. I've worked in the arts and on behalf of the arts for over 30 years. I've been an exhibition designer, a capital project director, adult educator, grant maker, and advocate, and now a CEO. I have dedicated my career to connecting people to the arts. That's really afforded by a deep belief in the transformative power of the creative and artistic expression. I believe that art is really the lasting essence of our human condition. It drives all. ArtsKC has been serving the Kansas City region for over 20 years. We aim to unleash the power of the arts. Most metropolitan areas have an organization or a council that supports the arts ecosystem, many with public funding. Our organization was conceived with the aspiration of a by-state tax that would provide sustaining funding for our artists and arts organizations. While the initiative made it to the ballot, it was not successful. So the founders, committed to the vision, set about securing the funds from the private and some public sector. ArtsKC is currently funded by foundations, corporations, individuals, and some public sources. ArtsKC focuses our efforts on 3 pillars of service: promote, support, and advocate. We promote the arts through marketing and visibility of the arts organization's programming and events and individual artists. Through capacity building, we help to ensure the development and engagement in diverse and new audiences. Our goal is to ensure equitable access to all. We support the arts through advancing the investment in the arts. We demonstrate that benefit through our own grant making, our own investment in the ecosystem. We advocate for the arts through education and awareness of the social, economic, and individual role the arts have in the equitable prosperity of our community. We work every day to ensure that the arts have a chair at the table and that our voice is heard. The ArtsKC team is deeply and relentlessly committed to the individual artists and arts organizations in the Kansas City region who create, perform, and educate and inspire us daily. Kansas Cityans have long touted the quality and the vitality of the arts industry in our region. We promote the arts to drive tourism. We highlight the arts to recruit business and industry to our community. We boast about the exciting social leisure scene to attract future employees. And we cite the $250 million economic impact the arts provide so that we can measure ourselves alongside our peer cities. But the arts also build connection in our neighborhoods, ensure a sense of belonging among people, improve learning in our youth. They reduce violence in our cities, and they bridge differences between cultures and spur hope and ambition in ourselves. Often, the arts are seen as an amenity, even in spite of this, or a result of success in other sectors. But I challenge us to shift our thinking now and in the months to come. The arts are truly integral and the key to the reimagination of our region. The impact of COVID on the arts. I know we're hearing a lot about this from a variety of sectors, but I, along with FEMA, report that COVID-19 has taken a deep toll in our arts sector. Nearly all arts venues were initially forced to close, and if allowed to reopen, were severely restricted by distancing and capacity requirements. As COVID-19 resurged during late fall, many were once again forced to close if they had opened at all. Nationally, financial losses to nonprofit arts and culture organizations are an estimated $15.3 billion. 99% of producing and presenting organizations have canceled events, a loss of almost 5 million admissions. That's the connection between the people and the art. And 15.5 billion in audience spending at local businesses, resulting in a total economic impact of organizational and audience spending losses of 5.2 billion in lost government revenue, and almost 900,000 jobs that are no longer supported. Almost 50% of organizations have laid off or furloughed staff. 63% make their cultural product available online, but at no gain in revenue. And 10% are not confident they will survive. That's a loss of 12,000 organizations. 41% of nonprofit organizations are currently open, but almost 60 remain closed, and 40 of those do not have a target date for reopening. And this is data that was collected and released just on the 8th of this month. So uncertainty prevails. Artists and creatives are among the most severely affected workers by the pandemic. 63% have become fully unemployed and have lost an average of $22,000 of income. 78% have no post-pandemic financial recovery plan. And even more so, Black, Indigenous artists of color have higher rates of unemployment than white artists due to the pandemic and are losing an even larger and disproportionate percentage of their creative income. And a unique Kansas City stat, and this is creative industries across the board, so it includes graphic designers, illustrators, 17,500 jobs lost, and almost 600 million in sales lost in the creative industries. You know, one stat that I read recently that was really compelling was that the New York Times, according to the New York Times, New York City, prior to the pandemic, there were roughly 36,000 artists experiencing homelessness. Now, in the midst of the pandemic, there are nearly 600,000 artists experiencing homelessness. The arts and culture industry is often overlooked and under-resourced. The artists, musicians, and artistic workers that make up the industry that we all love are significantly more vulnerable. They are often part-time or gig workers and do not have access to insurance or healthcare. The organizations and businesses that also comprise the ecosystem and employ artists and creatives were also hit hard. This includes performance venues, galleries, for-profit and nonprofit arts and education organizations. Relief does continue to arrive for the arts industry through several avenues, and we are deeply grateful. Arts organizations have access to the programs administered through the SBA and awarded through the CARES Funding Act. It includes the paycheck protection, employee retention, NEA relief grants, extended unemployment benefits for our gig workers, thankfully. Most recently, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grants, which is a new grant and new fund, will focus relief towards performing arts venues, which is one of the hardest hit disciplines and industry within the arts. But this funding was not readily available to all. Not unlike other sectors, not unlike other communities, organizations and artists that are often marginalized and face institutional bias and racism were met with traditional roadblocks early in the pandemic, with no established relationship with banks, little finance, business support. Many did not access the funding they deserved. With recent changes in the funding through priority access, community-based organizations, it may reach the culturally diverse and community-based artists and organizations that comprise the real foundation of our arts and culture experiences. Federal funding is critical to our industry's survival because the focus early on in the crisis was on basic services, food and shelter, rightly so, region-wide funds. Some foundations, corporations, and individual donors limited their funding to the arts industry. With that said, it is important to express conspicuous gratitude to supporters that have extended their investment in our industry over the entire past year. Last March 17th, ArtsKC leaned into the response effort. March 17th. Our team launched Zoom immediately, providing information, advice, and counsel from experts multiple times weekly, helping artists and arts organizations navigate the complexities and ever-changing funding relief and COVID information. We joined with Charlotte Street and Spencer Museum and the Warhol Foundation to launch Rocket Relief grants, providing $1,000 emergency grants to hundreds of artists in our region. ArtsKC immediately launched Friday Night Arts, providing artists a platform, a digital virtual platform to share their story and their work. ArtsKCGo.com pivoted almost immediately to the promotion of online and virtual events. We provided online marketing classes, how to produce virtual programming. Missouri organizations banded together to create the ArtSafe initiative, so that organizations can work together to attempt to reopen safely. We gathered PPE through corporate and government donations, and we are still distributing free KN95 masks to the arts community. Our advocacy efforts ramped up at a local, state, and national level, drawing on our relationships and connections to bring the most up-to-date and accurate information to the community. Corporate and family foundation funders have regularly met with ArtsKC to discuss support for the arts and the state funding. Most recently, working with AltCap in our hope to ensure that all artists and organizations have access to this round of funding relief, we presented on PPP to arts organization leaders and will soon do the same for the SVOG, the Shuttered Venue Operators Grants. Working with mental health professionals, we've held a wellness series with arts organization employees and colleagues, aiming to develop a support network to aid in the resilience of our colleagues. And then we've also brought back Friday Night Arts, that's now Thursday Night Arts. It is relaunched to elevate the visibility of our regional artists yet again. But it's important to note that the devastation brought about by COVID is only part of our story. There are so many examples of enduring creativity, collaboration, and contribution in the arts industry. We enjoyed an unprecedented effort to work together to lift one another up. During this time, many artists found great inspiration and expression. It was a time to create for some in spite of the loss. 93% of organizations have been delivering artistic content in order to raise community spirits and morale, proving the arts have a stake in the health and fundamental well-being of our community. Most of this activity is being offered free or at a greatly reduced price. Artists and organizations brilliantly innovated and adapted. Artists such as Calvin Arsinia are actively streaming on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Our artists came together to unite the region in solidarity with the creation of the Black Lives Matter murals. More than 1,000 individuals participated in the transformative experience. It still resonates today. The Kansas City Symphony hosted neighborhood concerts. The ballet just released a new work series that streams on Thursdays. Multiple galleries have found a way for visitors to safely view new exhibitions in person. Hundreds of performing arts organizations have produced socially distanced and virtual performances. Virtual programming has increased engagement across geography. Our own Folk Alliance International held its first virtual conference in February 2021, once again including musicians and speakers across vast distances, but with a greater level of accessibility. Choreographer Tristan Griffin presented a 3-installment film, Lost and Found, in June 2020. The Nelson, if you recall, the Nelson and the Kansas City Zoo brought humor and joy to us during a dark time with the penguin meandering through the museum. Powell Gardens opened their vast outdoor space to the performing arts organizations in the fall and winter to provide a stage, an opportunity for people to connect to the arts safely. And countless ticket holders of canceled events over the course of this year donated their refunds back to organizations and artists to buoy their operation. These examples show that the arts innovate by embracing new situations, challenges, imperfections, and collaboration to continue making new expressions with great accessibility. We have come together in support of one another and in support of our community. When Poet Laureate Amanda Gorman, poet and activist, shared her work, The Hill We Climb, at the inauguration, it exemplified the impact of the arts and the infinite inspiration it can provide. Her spoken words demonstrated the power of the arts to unify. I challenge that regardless of the party or the political preference, her words compelled us to hope for the future. The arts are the touchstone that we call on in times of crisis and in times of celebration. Because the arts are a true expression of the human spirit, they can bring us together. They can speak the truth, and they can express empathy and provide unprecedented reflection. Amanda Gorman was brilliant and inspiring on that world stage. We have those voices here. That artistic genius lives in our community. We must work together to elevate and engage the artists and the organizations in our region so that we can not only recover, but we can reimagine what we want our community to be. So what can the arts empower? What does it look like on the ground? We get that question all the time. In our neighborhoods, the arts help empower voices, encourage participation, and spark creativity for neighborhoods to flourish. People engage and thrive in a neighborhood if it has unique and cultural reflection. From 2000 to 2010, more than 75% of diverse low-income neighborhoods saw reductions in income disparity that directly correlate to the formation of new arts organizations within that community. How about our schools? The arts empower kids to express themselves in a space, to spark creativity and teach about social issues and learn about their heritage and their culture. The art helps people succeed, Low-income students who are highly engaged in the arts are more than twice as likely to graduate college than their peers with no arts education. Kansas City has a uniquely accomplished number of teaching artists that stand ready not only to resume classroom activity, but to also increase their contribution in order to reclaim and secure the education of our youth. How about in our cities? Arts programs reduce crime levels. Participation in after-school arts programs causes juvenile crime to fall by 4.2% on average, and slightly more in lower income cities. When individuals who are incarcerated participate in the arts, the recidivism rate drops dramatically. We have a successful program participating in this. We have a successful program that leads that exists in this region, arts and prisons. We are all familiar with the power of place. We discussed it earlier. The way art creates that unique and celebrated identity through murals, festivals, public art. Art in the Loop is a perfect example. Community-based art can transform a city into vivid representations of local identity and also bring social issues like race and income disparity to life. Artists can and often play a unique role within cities, engaging in cultural preservation, exploring questions of identity and belonging in context of community, and drawing attention to less visible perspectives. Because of this, artists and arts organizations who work at a community level are well positioned to engage and lead within cities' planning processes. How about in business? Corporate world, they can benefit by partnering with artists and arts organizations to help with cultivating creative thinking skills and be more open when addressing issues such as wellness, employee cohesion, community engagement. Engagement in the arts through programming inspires employees to be more aligned with innovation and helping businesses flourish. Creativity is a top skill sought by businesses. In KC alone, the arts are the third largest employer, with almost 10,000 employees and producing $275 million in economic impact. That's more than the hospitality industry, and Pete, more than the construction industry. So the arts can not only support other sectors' success, but we also contribute to the overall prosperity of the region. Last, but certainly not least, the arts and the power of creative expression has long been used to aid in the recovery of the mind and the body. Art therapy is a proven method to treat trauma and other physical and emotional illness. Many hospitals, including Truman Medical Center, introduces arts activities in the healing process to speed recovery and reduce healthcare costs. Now more than ever, our communities need the arts to openly express and authentically connect to one another so that we can grieve, heal, and look forward together toward a more connected and just community. ArtsKC stands ready to support the arts. This spring, we are launching an awareness campaign that will educate, inspire, and engage the region in the arts. This summer, we will continue to invest in the arts and organizations through an equitable and impactful grant funding program. If you're interested in investing in the arts with us, contact me or go to artskc.org. Every day, we will continue to relentlessly tell the stories of the life-changing expressions and experiences of the region's artists and arts organizations. We are working more closely than ever before with elected officials, civic leaders, and organizations like Mid-America Regional Council, Downtown Council, to inform and shape the support, the role of the arts in our region, and position our industry to help lead the way. I invite all of you to stand with us. As I stated at the beginning of my remarks, all too often the arts is seen as an amenity or a result of the success of others. But I challenge us to shift our thinking in the months to come, to deeply understand that the arts are the key to the transformative reimagination of our community. I'd be happy to answer questions.
Thank
Listen.
you so much, Dana. I so appreciate that. You did get a couple of shout outs in the chat. Corky says, ArtsKC keeps our children in shelter at our children's center, supplied with art supplies. So she's
Hello, Corky.
very grateful for that. And we also had an idea come from Dana with all of the construction that Pete's guys are doing out there. Maybe we can turn some of those orange cones into art installations and potentially auction those off even at some point.
I'm all for that.
So there you go. The question for you would be, has anything happened over the past year that you have found surprising? Whether that is a partnership that has developed or a project that's been undertaken or just a reaction from the community. What has surprised you this past year?
Oh my gosh. I think maybe not surprised, but really buoyed my belief in our community, and not only the arts community, but the Kansas City community. As I mentioned, just the coming together of the arts community, the kind of mind-blowing resilience of the creators, their willingness and just fundamental drive to present and provide creative expression to the full community with no return. So I think it reinforced and it buoyed my belief in what I just shared. That's what I really, when I go to sleep at night, that's what I feel the greatest sense of reassurance, and that those artists and organizations will, and maybe even more now, have the capacity to play a key role in our recovery. And I'll just say, in creating a community that we don't go back to where we were, but we become something far greater than what we are. That's what I think I feel most content about.
That's great. Kate Marshall has a question about First Fridays. Are they going to come back? And if so, how? What does that look like?
Well, I think that there was some activity just recently this last month. We remain closed at this point in time, but will aspire to reopen. I think First Fridays will probably be an activity that resumes earlier in the wave because it's outside. But I think it will be dependent on the vaccine, on the capacity of organizations and artists to kind of reboot and restart. And then I think also something that we can't underestimate is the comfort and the level of security and comfort that the audiences feel, how confident they feel about their safety and their health when they emerge into the community. So that's kind of my non-answer, but those are the factors I think that will play into the pace in which we kind of reopen.
Yeah. So one of the pictures that was shown on the Art in the Loop website was different colors of hands holding together on one of the streetcar stops. And we've talked a lot over the past year, and particularly in KC Downtowners, about Kansas City's long history of racism. Can you talk a little bit about how the arts is helping to facilitate that conversation and move the needle?
Well, I'll say two things. First and foremost, the traditional history of the arts played a role in that institutional and systemic racism. And I think as an industry, we are working hard to both face that and correct that. You know, it's inherent in the institutional structures of our museums, in our funding streams, in the way that we innovate those that perform and present. And so first and foremost, I think we need to be very clear and very deliberate about correcting and advancing those changes within the industry itself. I think secondly, the arts are uniquely equipped to really tear down those walls, to really push us as human beings to authentically engage. That can be done through community-based activities, through the mural program that we all experienced several months ago. So really, I think we need to deliberately and directly work on the institution that is traditionally the arts. And then we just need to kind of relentlessly deploy the creative expression that just naturally builds bridges and binds people together.
Thanks. Pete has a question for you. Did you learn anything interesting from organizations with peer organizations, the conversations that you've had with them from around the country that we can utilize here in Kansas City?
Absolutely. I would say this was a crazy, intense learning year. And we did rely very heavily on our peer organizations throughout the United States and beyond. You know, one interesting thing, you know, everyone really was living in a position of catching up. Everyone was, I dare say, scrambling to support arts leaders and individual artists, to raise money to really get funding on the street, and buoying just basic expenses in our organization. So yes, we learned both simple tactical things about buoying the capacity of arts organizations to present virtually, to how do you structure or better underpin your fundraising in the arts when you're competing with fundraising related to basic food and shelter. So we have long, but probably more intensely in the last 10 months, really relied on our peer organizations throughout the US.
Cynthia has a question. Do you ever plan to have a master list of Kansas City artists, like a database or a Google search that we can use to support local artists and seek them out?
We do. We have one. So if you look on artskcgo.com, we have an artist registry. And we encourage all regional artists to sign on and create a profile. I think right now we have in excess of 300 or 400 artists. So please, I encourage you to go to artskcgo.com to connect with regional artists. And if that isn't useful to you or you need some additional help, you can call ArtsKC at any time. We really consider ourselves that portal between our community and our population and the arts ecosystem.
Do you have any connection to Visit KC?
We do. Throughout at least the years that I've been at ArtsKC, we regularly communicate, prioritize the arts. They were very helpful when we were building artskcgo.com and helping us launch that. Tourism and the arts are deeply interdependent.
That's great. So you had a lot of compliments that are coming in through the chat from Anne and from Kate and from Gail, saying that, you've done an incredible job pivoting and just reiterating the importance and necessity of having arts. And let's see, it looks like just more and more compliments are coming in. So
Thank you.
let's keep it open for just another moment for any last questions that might come through. And Dana, as someone who is married to a musician, we felt that pain deeply in our house this year, and organizations like ArtsKC have been really tremendous in helping to stay afloat. And I was just on the Thursday night art presentation, Thursday Night Arts, and saw Hadiza Saadu on the call there. Hadiza is the Small Business Engagement Specialist with the Kansas City Public Library. She's also a musician, so it's always really wonderful to see all these different connections that are around in Kansas City. So I'm so grateful that you took the time to be here and share the
Absolutely
of arts with Kansas City. And to everyone on the call today, I appreciate you joining us as well and taking the time to be here with us. We hope to see you again virtually next month, where we are going to hear from Mayor Quentin Lucas and hear from our sponsor HNTV. And we also will honor Jared Miller, who is our past president of KC Downtowners, with a special presentation. So I hope you are able to join us next month. And next month also marks the 1-year mark that we have been hosting virtual meetings. So thank you for sticking it through with us. We so appreciate that. Take good care, everyone. Be well, be safe, and enjoy those storms tonight.
Thank you.